Here we go. It's coming thick and fast right now. We've got the teams for Italy against England. I'm going to look at those two 23-man squads, pick the bones out of it, and then come together with a combined 23 to give us an idea of the balance of power, where this one's going to go in the Stadio Olimpico, Inghilterra, travelling to Italia. Let's have a little look at the Italy team then. They're at home. They're under new stewardship of Gonzalo Quesada. He's the new head coach, taking over from Kieran Crowley. What is a Quesada Italy team going to play like? When you look at the personnel, not a lot has changed. I do think that they probably will stick with a similar, fairly attacking, adventurous style of play. That suits the Italian players they've got, particularly in the back line. It suits the talents that they have in key positions. I think what Quesada can do that maybe Kieran Crowley didn't, fine coach Kieran Crowley, but I think it maybe was a cultural thing. I don't know, you got a little sense when you watched that Netflix documentary, I don't know if you agree, that maybe, I don't know, didn't kind of chime with the attitude of the players 100%. They did some great things in the Six Nations last year, but it was a terrible World Cup. Argentina, where Gonzalo Quesada is from, and Italy have a long history together, a lot of exchange of cultures and, well, individuals between the two nations. So I think that could help. I'm excited for them. And the headline in terms of the team, that move over Mario and Luigi, the Garbisi brothers are in town at 9 and 10, which is really cool to see. Alessandro and Paolo, they're in the half-back positions. It's going to be a home crowd. They're against a England team which is in transition and has been disrupted with some injuries and retirements, and so they should fancy their chances at an upset. The centre pairing in particular, when I look at that Italy team, I think looks so solid. Menoncello and Brex looks really good, and that is an area where England will be slightly uncertain with an untested combination. I'll come on to that in a minute. The back row as well. That is a class back row, and again, that is an area where England have got a lot of people missing that may be their first choices if they were available. Like I say, no doubting that the World Cup was absolutely shocking, and I was out in the World Cup and I watched Italy in a couple of their games, and what was disturbing watching them was that it didn't actually look like they were tactically poor or physically weak. It was that they were mentally weak. They were just dropping off tackles that are just not acceptable at that level. And that says to me, that's something you can fix in a short period of time. You can't all of a sudden get fit, and you can't all of a sudden develop skills that you didn't have. You can sort your attitude out, and I think Italy will be in a much better place off the back of the World Cup, and they're coming into this in front of a home crowd with something to prove. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one. Let's have a little look at the England team then. The England side led by Jamie George for the first time. Big day for him, taking his side to Italy. And it's an unfamiliar looking England team in some respects, and then kind of very familiar in others. So the headlines: Alex Mitchell is fit. By the way, if you get value from the channel, if you enjoy the videos, please hit subscribe. Love to earn your subscription. Give the video a thumbs up as well. It doesn't cost you anything, takes you a second, and it really helps me reach new rugby fans. It's just me here. I'm Tim and this is Egg Chasers. So headlines: Alex Mitchell is fit. It was an injury scare, thought to be maybe out. Having already lost Marcus Smith as a fly half option, that would have changed things up a lot. Alex Mitchell is fit. There are 5 uncapped players in the 23-man squad, 2 debuts in the starting 15, those being Fraser Dingwall. Stop for a second. Let me just take this in. England have a player wearing a 12 shirt who also wears a 12 shirt for his club. I never thought I'd see the day. And Ethan Roots is on the blindside flank, the Exeter Chiefs flanker. He's a massive body. He's taken over from Courtney Laws, though, who is, well, England's best player of recent years. So that is a massive challenge for him. Those two and Tommy Freeman, the only men in the starting 15 that were not at the Rugby World Cup in some form or another. So it's still, whilst there are changes, especially on the bench, which I'll come on to, it still feels very familiar. Are we going to see evolution with this England side? I don't think so. Not too much. I think that's the way Steve Borthwick goes. It's small, it's incremental. He knows where he wants to get to, and he's getting the steps along the way. And you cannot argue with the last 2 times that Steve Borthwick took his side out onto the field. It was a decent win against Argentina in difficult conditions, and it was a fantastic effort in a World Cup semi-final where they came up short by the narrowest of margins. Just before I go on to the bench, the wings for England. I've seen quite a lot of people... Oh, sorry, there's a bunch of things to talk about. Fly half, George Ford. I guess some of the questions are, would George Ford have started 10 if Marcus Smith was available? I've been saying on the video in recent days, I was expecting George Ford to be picked as first choice. We'll wait and see through the rest of the tournament whether that is the case, in fact. I think Steve Borthwick is going to play his type of rugby, his type of game, and I think George Ford might be the best of the options, although personally, I would hand the reins to Marcus Smith and try and evolve the way England play. But I'm pragmatic enough to see what Steve Borthwick's up to. Slade is back. He had no option there, really, with all the injuries. What will happen to England's midfield when Tuilangi and Lawrence are available again? That is another one to watch. On the wings, I'm delighted for Tommy Freeman. He's an absolute awesome player. A lot of people are frustrated by Elliot Daly's selection. That's one where people are rolling their eyes a little bit, sighing. Again, I just in fairness to Elliot Daly, who has been a brilliant player for England, and in a World Cup semi-final, he was absolutely awesome. He was brilliant. I think why people maybe roll their eyes is because they're thinking, he's picking Elliot Daly, that means he's just going to have the team kick the ball loads. Yeah, they probably will kick the ball loads. France, everyone thinks they're this incredible attacking team, and they are. They kick the ball as much, if not more, than England. Same goes with New Zealand. Same goes with South Africa. It's what good teams do and need to do. I will just defend Elliot Daly a little bit. I think he's ace. One other question. Moving on to the debutants and the bench. Ethan Roots, do you think he's being selected just 100% on merit? I think he is, actually, in this case. England have a lot of players out in the back row. I'm quite pleased with this selection. If George Martin was fit, I think Ethan Roots would not be starting, but I think he's in because of all the injuries. But he is also Welsh qualified. And that leads me on to the question on the bench. Emmanuel Faye-Waboso and Finn Smith. Are they on the bench because this is against Italy, one of the weaker nations, weaker nations in the Six Nations, and they are qualified for Emmanuel Faye-Waboso for Wales and Finn Smith for Scotland? I wonder. I do wonder. The other potential debutant, Chandler Cunningham South, he's been selected ahead of guys like Don Brandt. Again, it's one to watch. Is that because it's against Italy, and so he's giving players an opportunity in this game, or is he picking him ahead of Don Brandt, for example? I think he probably is because of the flexibility that Chandler Cunningham South shows. But Chandler Cunningham South is not first choice for Harlequins, his club, his current club. And he wasn't first choice for his side last year, London Irish. So it's a big call, that. Is he ready for international rugby? Personally, I'm quite happy with him being thrown in. I would just temper it and go, it's very early days for him. He is clearly going to be a really good international player, but it's early days. So I think maybe it's because it's Italy and obviously there's a lot of injuries. So anyway, Steve Borthwick, what has he said about this game? He said, and I quote, "We'll need to make good decisions, keep our discipline and maintain a level of intensity from minute one to the last whistle." So yeah, you could say that about every game, couldn't you? So Steve Borthwick's going to Steve Borthwick. I think I'm happy with how he's coaching England. I'm happy with how they're playing. I think people that are wanting and expecting and hoping for something really exciting and radical are going to be disappointed. I just want to win. As for my combined 23-man squad, there it is. Only 3 Italians feature in the entire matchday squad. Is that being unfair? There were a few positions where I thought, Cunningham South. I wouldn't normally pick Cunningham South, but then I looked at the Italian bench and I thought, if Chandler Cunningham South was Italian, he'd be on the bench ahead of Iachisi and Zuliani, for example. Yeah. So I just can't see back past 20 out of the 23 being English. I think Italy have a lot of good players. The Canoni brothers, Lorenzo in particular at number 8 is really good. What's his name? Fischetti, a loose head prop, is excellent. And Paolo Garbisi can unlock. So this is not a slight on Italy. It's just if I had access to both players in every shirt, those are the ones that I personally would select. Brex is close to being 13. I think Menoncello, Negri and Lamaro, and Negri and Lamaro can act as a real pincer action. Just Negri can just bust things up, and Lamaro at the breakdown can bust things open. So do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I being parochial there with my selection? Get stuck in the comments down below. We have got a massive couple of days of rugby ahead of us, and the videos here on Egg Chasers will keep on coming.